What's up, guys? Welcome to the On the Screws Golf YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, I'd like to invite you below. Subscribe so you can be notified anytime we release a new podcast, which is every Friday about 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or any of the products that we might feature for a review on the page. If you're not already, please head over to our Instagram account, @OTSGolf. Give us a follow there. We connect with a lot of really cool people in the golf community. And if you like the video, please head below, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments section about anything that you might like to see featured on this page. But alright, let's get into the video.
Alright, Brooksy!
We gotta talk about Brooks. We gotta talk about Brooksy, Bryson, whatever you want to call it. How are you doing though, Bryce? Let's hop in.
Doing good. A long day at work today, but glad to be home, talk some golf. Yeah, it's a funny clip.
Yeah, I was just saying too, that guy kind of sounds like me, so it works out really well. But obviously, PGA Tour put a ban on Brooksy. Terrible time for the PGA Tour. You know, I don't get too opinionated typically on anything like with what the PGA Tour is like, any decisions they're making, but like this one is just absolutely terrible. Like I don't know if you feel the same way, Bryce, but I'll just share a couple thoughts. Like the game has been kind of trending in a good place. Like they're trying to get more people involved and they're paying paying more athletes that are, more social, like more on social media and stuff like that. Like I'm not saying it exactly the proper way, but there's money going to some of these guys that are trying to be more interactive on social media and trying to have more fanfare and whatnot and just more engaging. And then now we're throwing them out because they yell Brooksy and it hurts Bryson's feelings. So I've always been not on the fence. Like I've always understood that Bryson's a unique personality, different guy, whatever it may be. We're all kind of different. And like what he brings to the game is, whether you like it or not, good for the game. And he puts eyes on the TV. We were all like watching the BMW playoff, 6 holes against Patrick Cantlay, and glued to it. I'm talking to like 8 of my buddies at one time. Like people are just messaging nonstop. But like now we can't yell Brooksy. If it's during the backswing, it's always been a rule in golf. Like if somebody yells mashed potatoes, whatever it is, during your backswing, like they get tossed. But it can be like 5 seconds after a swing and he's going and chasing people down, cussing them out now, and then having the police escort them off. So I think it's wrong. I can definitely tell you I think it's wrong. I think a little bit of interaction from the fans is never a bad thing. What do you think, Bryce?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think it's ridiculous. Whether Bryson brought this on himself or happened organically, I mean, either or, he should be able to deal with it. I mean, I've been saying it since day one. It brings more people to the game of golf, and people kind of are enjoying it and running with it, so let them run. I mean, Bryson's got to learn to deal with this stuff. I mean, what happens when you go to Europe on the Ryder Cup or whatever and just get ripped apart? What are you going to do there? You going to break down and cry? Like, you just got to learn to deal with it and play through it. I mean, everyone else would do it. So.
Well, let me put you on the spot here, Bryce. So you've played hockey at a high level, like you played in the Ontario Hockey League, and you've played in front of thousands of fans at one time. Now, I'm sure like you didn't take a lot of penalties. You're not that kind of player, but like I'm sure there were some times where I know you told me a story one time about you like just getting kind of shredded by Connor McDavid one time. So like you're probably hearing your name the odd time scream from fans, or you're kind of hearing things while you're on the ice. Like, isn't it just kind of part of the sport? Like I know hockey's quite a bit different than golf, and we're kind of getting like, but isn't it time to start treating golf like a sport? Like Bryson's made $18 million in his career playing this game. Like it's a game. Like, and he's made $18 million doing so. Flying on private jets, driving Rolls Royce, stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I remember when I was actually in Windsor playing a game, and I got a penalty for God knows what, probably hooking, tripping, something lazy. But I remember a fan was like chirping me, and he was like, "You're awful, like you suck." And I just kind of looked at him like, what's funny is like you paid money to come watch me play, so you know what? So why don't you just sit down and watch the game? So like, I mean, even in golf, like you've seen players interact with fans, you've seen them jump back down their throats, like. It's happened before, and now that it's happening to him, it's a big problem. I don't agree with it, but then again, I'm not on the PGA committee.
Well, think about this though. Like, think about the Tiger era, right? So, like, think about Tiger Woods. The allegiance of fans of Tiger Woods following him around the course, screaming like, "Great shot, Tiger!" This and that. Like, sure, they're not going directly at the other players, but a lot of the like think what Phil Mickelson used to deal with like the fanfare of Tiger Woods and all the pressure dealing with that. And like, I get the odd comment, the odd yell, something like that. Brooksy is like, it's a bit childish or whatever, but I don't know. The game's changing, right? Like we kind of like, we need to encourage fans, like you say, that are paying money to go there to be interactive in the sport and have their place. Don't yell Brooksy, whatever it is. I get it. Don't yell Brooksy, but I don't know. Anyway.
Another thing is if he didn't whine and complain the first time it happened, no one would be saying it. It's just because people like getting a rise out of him that they keep doing it. So, I mean, like you said, kind of indirectly, it's almost his fault for whining about it in the first place. So you should.
You know what? You're right. That's a great point, because if it probably would have happened occasionally from the odd guy, had a couple drinks or whatever. But at this point, it's like he has kind of brought it on himself by going back to it, revisiting it, making it, mainstream on social media and whatnot. But that's enough. Bryson needs to kind of grow up a little bit. He's got enough airtime from us, even though we're a small podcast. Enough airtime for now. This week we were fortunate enough. I was able to sit down with Michael Blair just in between a couple rounds. He's playing right now in the P.E.I. right now. So he was there. There's kind of two events at the same resort. Last week he won the. He was the winner of the P.E.I. Open, the PGA Tour Canada, Mackenzie Tour. Dunderave. He's playing again this week. Yesterday he shot 68. I think he followed it up today with 67. So we're recording this on Wednesday. This video will be out on Friday night, so we'll have a winner by that point. Hopefully it's Michael Blair again. Great conversation. Good guy from Burlington, Ontario. Let's hear the chat with Michael Blair. All right. We are here with Michael Blair. Michael, welcome to On the Screws podcast. Appreciate you hopping on. I just thought it would be great to have you on. The tour finales coming up, or the playoff finale, and you just won last week on the Mackenzie Tour. Anybody listening, I mentioned last week that I kind of was out in the bag with Jake there, and you've got a connection with him. I've gone to school with him, so maybe you can just let any of our listeners know who you are, kind of how you got into golf, and what you're doing now, and give us an update on what's going on with you right now.
Sure, yeah. I'm Michael Blair from Burlington, Ontario originally. I live in Ancaster, Ontario. Got into golf really just because I was too small to play hockey. I was played rep hockey, but it's about 5'4" draft year, so that wasn't working out too well. Starting the concussion just starting to rack up, so I switched over to golf at about 14, 15 years old. And, been playing ever since. Just playing professionally now, kind of dealing with some shoulder injuries on and off over the last bunch of years, and then COVID for a couple of years. So kind of feel like it's been a rough last 5 years or so for me, even though technically I've been professional since 2016. Kind of feels like my first year, kind of starting all over again here with finally feeling healthy and getting back to normal with playing tournaments.
That's good to hear. Like, I feel like I'm kind of in the same boat. We sound like we have a similar past. Like, I played rep hockey. I was a goalie, but I was kind of in the era of like Ben Bishop times, right? Like all these guys were like, I'm about that age, so these guys are like 6'6", and here I am, I'm 5'10" on a good day, right? So dislocated both my shoulders. That kind of took me in and away from golf at times. I found it easier to play like baseball because it was always my left one, and I'm a lefty, so a little bit easier to play baseball, the baseball swing, and then concussions as well. So glad you're healthy. I know that sports are tough, and golf's one of those ones that we need the body, but you can kind of get through some things. But like I said, I was on the bag for Jake. So hats off to you guys, because if you're walking those courses 4 times a week and practice rounds, that's a lot of walking, Michael. So good for you, man. But I thought maybe you could tell us a little bit, like you played at Eastern Michigan. In the past, I've been able to have a couple coaches on and some players and whatnot. So how was the college experience? How did that kind of prepare you for like where you are now with the Mackenzie Tour?
Yeah, so I actually originally went to school in North Carolina at a D2 school called Pfeiffer University, and then transferred after 2 years to Eastern Michigan to Division I school for my last 2 years. So kind of had, the variety of experiences, had some Southern golf, some Northern golf, D2, D1, kind of traveled a lot, college golf wise. So that was, I think it's decent preparation, but, in terms of a professional golf jump, like unless you're really a top guy, I don't think it prepares you all that well, just because everything's taken care of for you for college golf, like your travel, your hotel, your food. All you have to do is show up and play golf when you're in college. You got homework too, but general, everything's looked after. All you got to do is show up and play golf. And now all of a sudden, mini tour golf, even Mackenzie Tour golf, you got to be your own travel agent. You got to be your own sports psychologist, your own fitness coach, your own everything. Basically, you got to organize it all yourself. And playing golf is like still obviously the main portion, but now it might be 60% of it versus you got to deal with all this other stuff. Just kind of itinerary organizing, all this other stuff logistically to get yourself in the best possible shape to compete.
Yeah, it reminds me. I had you would know Rebecca Lee Bentham, so or know of her anyway in that area. So she came on the podcast recently. She was playing in the U.S. Women's Open, and that was one of the things that she said that took her away from professional golf was that grind of like being your own travel agent, essentially, like what you were saying. And it's such a grind to go through. And so you're down in P.E.I. now, which I was chatting with a gentleman a couple weeks ago. His name's Terry Hashimoto. So he's done some pressure mapping and stuff like that. So he does the body track system. He lives in P.E.I. now. And I love P.E.I. P.E.I. is amazing. Like I love being down there. But the one day that I had while I was there with my wife to golf, we got rained out. So how's the course? How's things going? Like last week you won the, I guess it was the P.E.I. Open, yeah. And so this week's at Brudenell. That was at, what course was that at last week?
Dunderave.
Dunderave
property, but the Dunderave course is at the Brudenell River course this week.
So how's it going? You've been able to kind of, I guess, get some lodging with some of the other guys. It's been good?
Yeah, so I mean, like we're saying, logistically, it's tough when you're on your own, but I've been fortunate enough to meet guys through golf to be able to, travel together, which makes things a lot easier. You kind of got someone else to not rely on, but to kind of get, go through things with you. And so the golf courses, both of them are great. Completely different styles. The Dunderave looks kind of like a Muskoka type of golf course.
Yeah.
Northern Ontario kind of resort style, cut out of the trees, bit wider with like really big kind of wavy greens. Kind of, someone said they look like Pringle chips, basically, like a lot of waves in them. And then Brudenell is a little bit more of a traditional tree line type of golf course, a little bit more of a small ball type of course. Back to front, sloping greens, a lot of tree lines, a little bit tighter. So two different style of golf courses, but both of them really good.
Well, when we're having this chat right now, it's Tuesday evening, and you're through your first round, so you shot a 68 today, so great round, good for you. And I'll typically put this out on the Friday, so it'll go out with the playoff finales up this weekend. So can I ask any predictions? You get any predictions for this weekend? Did you watch the Patrick Cantlay and Bryson show the other day?
Yeah, I managed to catch the last the playoff and then a couple of the last few holes. It was pretty exciting. It was a good time. To be honest, Cantlay is. He putted it amazing. He had I think it was statistically one of the best putting weeks ever, like top 5 or 6 ever putting. Yeah. So, it's hard to replicate. It's hard to put anything past John Rahm right now. He's just been the best player for so long. So,
yeah, I agree. John Rahm's like he's in everybody's. If you're picking a bracket, whatever it is, in that first box, you're picking John Rahm right now, right? So,
yeah, he had a decent week, but he didn't have to. The extra burnout of. The playoff and all that stuff, right? He's a little bit fresher. He's had like 14 top 10 this year or something like ridiculous like that. So I know with the staggered start it's kind of weird, but usually that starts to wash away, do a round or two, and then like unless Cantlay goes out, just rinses everybody. But it sounds boring, but I think John Rahm's still a guy everyone's got to be looking at.
If Patrick Cantlay putts like that, I think obviously it's going to be tough for anybody to get anywhere close. So I think it was something like 15 strokes gained or 12 or 15. It was absolutely crazy. That was, and one of the stats I heard was he had 5 consecutive must makes in the playoffs, or actually it might have been 17, 18, and then the first three playoff holes. and it was 72 combined feet and 5 putts, and obviously made all of them, right? So one of them was a 21 footer, which is insane. So, but this is Michael Blair, P.E.I. Open champion. So hats off to you, Michael. That's really amazing on the Mackenzie Tour. Before I let you go, I know you're getting prepped for the morning. If anybody wants to follow your career, where can we get a hold of you? Where can we check you out?
Yeah, I'm pretty, I got, on all the regular social media outlets, Instagram, Twitter. I think it's mblair416 on Instagram and MJ Blair Golf on Twitter. So, all the usual channels should be pretty easy to find me. And then other than that, all the results are always on the Mackenzie Tour website. So
perfect. Yeah, well, in the description below, so like I said, it'll be out on Friday. So that'll be September 3rd, I believe. So when I post this up, I'll drop a couple links in below. I'd encourage anybody to go over and check out the Mackenzie Tour, because I had, I was fortunate enough to walk inside the ropes with you guys, and it was pretty good. I got to Caleb was there, Brendan Says, Ziggy. I really liked watching Ziggy. He was a really nice guy. We had a great time, and of course with Jake McNulty. So you guys are all great golfers. It was a treat to watch. I realized where those 10 strokes or so difference in my game are lost, and unfortunately at this age I'm not making those up. So congratulations to you guys, and congratulations on your win last weekend, Michael.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Michael Blair, good young guy, good young player, tons of talent. Hopefully we see him repeat by the time this goes out. That might be just about done. But Bryce, let's get into the playoff finale, the Tour Championship. This week, I guess it seemed like everybody's eyes were on the TV, kind of watching that, Bryce and Patrick Cantlay 6-hole playoff. Pretty much from hole 14 onward, I messaged you and I said, like, Bryce, did you see him call him out and tell him to stop walking or whatever it may be? And sure enough, Patty Cantlay rolls. This is one of the, okay, so I think it was either 12 or 15 total strokes gained on the field of a PGA Tour event, which is one of the craziest stats in PGA Tour history. 5 holes when he needed to make a putt. So if he, just to explain this, if he would have missed any of these putts, the tournament would have been over. Bryson would have won 5 holes in a row at 72 combined feet or total feet. So one of those was like a 21 footer he had to make too, and he made it, which is pretty unreal. So what do you think of the BMW, Bryce? What do you think of the Tour Championship coming up?
First of all, the BMW is awesome. I mean, it kind of brought me back to last year when Rom and DJ were in the playoff, both draining bombs too.
Yeah, that was I think DJ made like a 58 footer, and then Rom made a like a 66 footer or something like that. Right?
62 or something. I don't know. I watched the highlights from it like the week before the BMW. But yeah, just in BMW fashion, more putts were draining, and they weren't short ones, that's for sure. So it was awesome to see. I mean, I wish I could putt like that, but we all know I can't.
Hey, hold on, because we posted a reel last week of you playing Disney, and you made probably a 20-footer. So, and it had some bend in it. It definitely had some bend. So the putting game is coming along. But speaking of those like draining putts and whatnot, the scores were, I think it finished at minus 26 or 27. Like, what did you think about that for the second last event of the season? What are your thoughts there? Are the scores too high, or should have been a bit more challenging?
I mean, yes and no. I think they shouldn't have been that high. I don't think any tournament should be that high. But then again, being the last tournament like that, and I think points are doubled if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I'd like to see guys that maybe are like way out of it and shoot really good and come back into it. Maybe guys on that bubble that have like a really good round and tear that course apart. They can jump up a few spots. So I like to see some movement in the standings, but I also don't think they should be at 27 under, 28 under. That's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it was just this week at East Lake too, they're kind of predicting some low scores again, which is kind of interesting because it feels like a major championship vibe, right? Like last week at the BMW, it felt like it was kind of like, a lot of eyes were on TV. I was telling you, like, so many people were messaging, talking about it. Like, just random people on Instagram saying, like, hey, like, how does this format work and stuff like that. So I just thought we'd hop into, like, a couple of the players, right? So we've only got one Canadian in the field. So Cory Connors, who's been lights out. He's now solidified himself as one of those top 30 players. So I think we're going to see him here for the next few years. So he starts out at -1. Hideki Matsuyama's right there, major champion. Stuart Sink, who won a couple of times on tour this year, which was pretty awesome. Like I like seeing Stuart Sink on there. One of my picks that we're going to come back to, Daniel Berger. He's at even par. He was tied for 30th. Billy Horschel, your guy Sergio squeaked in, and we saw Patty Reed is going to make the trip. He's going to make it down there and try and win. So the way that this format works is it's kind of everybody gets in the last couple of weeks, or well, really for the season, you get points towards the last few events, and then those points kind of double, triple, whatever it may be, and you get almost like a ranking. And so Patrick Cantlay, being the top FedEx points earner, starts at -10.
This is fairly new, though, I believe, right? In the last couple of years, they just started doing this, where they start at -10, -8, -7.
Yeah, and to be honest, I love it. Like I love the format because it's not played like this in any other tournaments, and it's kind of like the guys who are there all year are the ones who are at the top with the best chance to win. Like they're playing for $15 million. Like the winner's getting $15 million in this tournament. So I thought it might be kind of cool. Like mention some of the guys down there. Like, you know, if you're like even Louis Oosthuizen, who we've been talking to a lot, like he has a 7-stroke handicap, or like he's 7 strokes below Patrick Cantlay. So it's one of those names, right? Patrick Cantlay is one of those names. He's just so consistent. And I figure like when you give a guy like that a 10-stroke handicap on some of the other players in the field,
how do you beat him?
How do you make up 2.5 strokes around, right? It's not on Patrick Cantlay. Like it's just not going to happen. So that's why I feel like it's going to happen from maybe the guys who are -4, -5 and upward. Like I think the guys lower are kind of like, we've got a couple players like Justin Thomas at -4, Cameron Smith at -5, John Rahm at -6. Those 3 guys right there are players who can go low. Like we've seen Cameron Smith just came off a 60 2 weeks ago, and John Rahm's the best player in the world, and JT's right there, of course, right? So
I don't even mind Spieth at -4. Like he could even have a tournament and come right back too.
Yeah, a couple of 62s. Like you messaged me a couple weeks ago, he shot a 62. So there's some low scores to be had, especially this weekend at East Lake. The guys know the course. Like it's been played there a couple years now, and they're kind of predicting a higher score. So what do you think, Bryce? Like who do you got? If is there anybody? Let's remove Patrick Cantlay from the equation. Let's talk about how the other players will need to play to catch him. I'm not sure if I can predict a score right now with Patrick Cantlay being -10, but we've got Tony Finau at -8, Bryson DeChambeau at -7. So Tony Finau winning a couple weeks ago solidified himself as he could not go any lower than number 2. He could have finished number 1, but he could not have gone any lower than number 2. So the way that it worked with Patrick Cantlay and Bryson, whoever won was going to be number 1 at -10. The loser of that playoff was going to be number 3 at -7. So that was like a massive swing. Like 3 strokes is huge, right? So Bryson kind of pulling those 5-footers, that really hurt his chances. But is there anybody that's kind of sticking out to you when you look at the leaderboard right now?
I mean, if he's on his game, I love Cam Smith at 5 under, 5 strokes back. He played pretty good. What was the term before the BMW? It's slipping my mind.
I know, it's slipping mine too, because when I mentioned that he shot a 60, I couldn't remember what the event was, but it's recent, right? Like, sorry?
Is it the Northern Trust?
Yeah, it was the Northern Trust, you're right, yeah. So
I mean, he ripped the 60 of the Northern Trust, and he was right there. He was in the playoff with Finau. I mean, if he's on, he's hard to beat, man. That guy is dialed in most of the time. So I love him at 5 without picking Cantlay, obviously. And then I also like Spieth, like I said earlier. I mean, He's had a hell of a year, and I'd love to see him win because I think he deserves it, especially after the year he's had and all the stuff that's gone on with these past couple of years and him not playing great. I'd love to see him come back and win. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I think like just looking through it, like the easy name to say is John Rahm. Obviously, he's been the best player in the world now for a significant amount of time. Yeah. He's got a 4-stroke handicap, 4 points back. That's kind of like if you're a betting man, like that's a stroke to make up on Patrick Cantlay through 4 days. Like one a day is not it's not unheard of, definitely. But if I were to go kind of drop down in the pack a little bit, I'm looking at Sam Burns. So I often pick Sam Burns. I think he's one of the best young players in the game, won the Valspar, and he's put up some pretty low rounds this year. So he's at -4. And I think if somebody's got the chance to kind of put together some low rounds, the problem is he's had a really hard time. I read this stat earlier in the year. It was either he had the most 36 hole leads throughout like the last 2 seasons, or it might have even been 54 holes, and just can't close all the time, right? So that's the only thing I worry about is the 4-day grind, if that's too much for him. And yeah, I want to kind of do a throwback to last year and go DJ. Like DJ's at -3. I think in these types of events, if I remember talking to Bob Weeks a little while ago, and he said it really well. He said, if you're to take all of these players in the world at their absolute peak, playing the best golf that they can, DJ's the best player in the world. So I think Jon Rahm's putting up a tough bet for that. But I think DJ, when you talk about talent, ball striking, putting, I guess just all of it all together, like pure talent, DJ is probably the closest thing that we've seen to Tiger in a very long time, right? So I would like to see him make some noise, kind of make something happen for the weekend. I guess those would be my guys. I got to remember because I'm going to make a post. So I'm going to go DJ, Sam Burns, and Jon Rahm for this week.
I just didn't want to take Rahm because, like you said, I mean, he's just going to be there, like it's expected. One guy that I don't think is going to give Cantlay a run, but I think he's going to be kind of up there is Eric Van Rooyen.
Yep.
He's been playing lights out lately, and kind of one of those guys where you're not used to seeing him there all the time. And like he's been in the mix in the past few tournaments, which is awesome. Great style with the joggers, love that. My kind of style.
Now, what about the other South African in the field, your boy Louis? What do you think about Louis?
Louis gonna be there. He's gonna finish like
second,
third or fourth. I don't know. I was listening to Spit and Chicklets podcast the other day, and I'm not gonna say this is mine, but Louis used to losing.
Louis used to losing. I like it.
They said that on there, and I was just cracking up. I think it's a great one, but it's true. You just can't find a way to finish, but he'll be there, I'm sure.
Okay, so your 3. Give me your 3. I know you said Cam Smith.
I got Smith, Spieth, and I'm not going to take Van Rooyen because, I mean, it's just you can't make up that much ground in a 4-day tournament, in my opinion. I mean, I'd love to see it, but I just think it's almost impossible. I'm going to take Hovland. I want Hovland to have a good tournament. Nice,
Hovland. Okay, so I'm looking at a couple names, Tony Finau and Bryson DeChambeau, not getting any love. So I know we're both huge Tony Finau fans. But it's just, he's very consistent. It's just, he finally came through, got the win. I got to see more of a body of work, right? So speaking of Tony Finau, good segue. Let's roll into some of the Ryder Cups. So Team Europe has 9 picks or 9 players total right now. So I'm just going to talk about them. We'll go into who we think the final 3 will be next week if they haven't already unleashed them, or kind of, I don't want to say unleashed. that was bad, but if they haven't brought them out for next week, we'll chat about who we think might be those final 3. But we got Jon Rahm, Fleetwood, Hatton, Hovland, Rory, Casey, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Westy, and Lowry. So really solid team. That sounds like a dominant team as it is. And they don't even have Ian Poulter on that team yet. So I know you have the American version of Ian Poulter on your list. All right, so the top 6 picks that we have locked in for the Team USA, Steve Stricker is the captain. We know now Phil Mickelson is the assistant captain. And we got Morikawa, Dustin Johnson, Bryson, Brooks, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay. So those are 6 of the best players in the world. You look on the other side and they got like Rahm, Rory, like it's gonna be a tough, like it's gonna be a great Ryder Cup. I can't wait to watch it. My picks, I posted them the other day. I had Xander, Spieth, Finau, which I think those 3 are on every single person's list making the US database, or whatever you want to call it, for the Ryder Cup. I went with my guy Sam Burns. I've said it a few times. Won the Valspar this year. I think he's one of the best young players. It'd be really good to get him some Ryder Cup experience. Webb Simpson, I feel like, is the safe bet. If I saw somebody moved in and out for Webb, I wouldn't be too upset by it. And Daniel Berger. So
I thought he had won twice this year, but I think he's only won at the AT&T, the Pebble Beach, like at the Pebble Beach. But he's had a couple like top finishes. I know he's high at the U.S. Open, played well at the Masters. So I think I would like to see Daniel Berger there. What do you think, Bryce? Like, do you echo the Xander, Spieth, and Finau?
Yeah, 100%. Just quick disclaimer, if you see me looking this way, I got my notepad over here.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I got Finau, Xander, and Spieth as well. I mean, it's hard not to just put them in, almost solidify them now, in my opinion. I got Webb Simpson as well, just because, I mean, he's so consistent most of the time, and I'm pretty sure he's been on it in past years, and he knows his role there, and I think he plays it pretty well. But I have 2 picks that Mac didn't have. I have Patty Reed going in there because, I mean, although they have their problems with him or rumors of problems, I still think he's one of the best wedge players on tour, and I still think he brings a big game to the Ryder Cup team.
So just before, like, when he had double pneumonia when I made my list and posted my list, so I think if I were to remove somebody, it would be Webb to put in Patty Reed. He is still the best wedge player on tour, and he's one of the best putters. So, and we remember Spieth of a few years ago, kind of with Reed with the kind of shushing the crowd, right? So that meme's still out there. I think if he's healthy, which we're going to find out this weekend at East Lake, then yeah, I think he is going to knock out Webb Simpson or Daniel Berger on my list. So who's your last one?
My boy Kid.
Of course.
One of the best match play players on tour, and he putts lights out, and I just think they need to have him there. I mean, he's been there in previous years, and I think he's a big part of that team, whether it's on the golf course or off, because he's such camaraderie guy. So
yeah,
I mean, I just think he's got to be there.
I don't think you're wrong there. Like, all of these guys that we're saying are great picks. I think Kiz is a little bit low on the list for me now, but again, like, if he kind of, I just don't want to see Sam Burns taken out, because I really think that Sam Burns is one of the best young American players. I think that he should be there. But there are so many players that can kind of, I don't know, move the needle. So Steve Stricker, Phil Mickelson, yeah, that's a great pick for an assistance pick. I think we knew he was going to be there, but he's playing on tour with these guys, beating these guys a lot of the times right now. So he'll be able to give not just like a physical assessment of these players, but also like an emotional, and like understand what is going through a lot of the players' minds. Because the Ryder Cup is like, it's like playing in one of the biggest events of their life, right? So I think that's why I really like Xander too, because he's just showed that he can win the Olympics, and it's kind of that kind of different vibe of an atmosphere, right?
It scales the Olympics, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think of maybe last minute them throwing Tiger into the mix as another captain? Not to play, but just to be there and be around the guys. I mean, I think that would be phenomenal. But
yeah, Tiger's the GOAT. We know that, right? If you can have him there, I know he's been walking around on crutches and stuff like that. If you can have him there, why not? I think he's got to be there, right?
I mean, I just think it would be a big impact on the whole USA team, and the whole aura of being there with him there it would be awesome, I think.
I like it. I love it, man. It's it definitely never hurts to have Tiger around, and if you have that ability, why not have him there? So next week, if they haven't already got to it, we will talk about some of the Europeans in the field. We've already got 9, so I'm pretty sure Poulter is going to be one of them, but we'll have to kind of have a look at who those last 3 will be. A lot of good young players. I'm really, really happy that they have Hovland and Matt Fitzpatrick on that team. I think those guys are 2 of the very, very best young players in the world right now. But yeah, this was a great episode, Bryce. Anybody listening to this, if you haven't already, go over, check out our OTS Golf, at OTS Golf on Instagram. Right now, at this point in time, we are doing a giveaway with Siren Golf. They are a past guest. Hop over, tag a couple buddies. You can win a towel and a glove of your choice from their website. They've got like paisley designs, kind of like the Burberry look, palm trees, like really cool stuff. And of course, head over to On the Screws podcast if you're not watching this on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I will link anything for Michael Blair, good young Canadian player, professional out of Burlington, Ontario. I'll link his social handles and whatnot in the description below. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, Bryce.
Thank you. See you later.
Take it easy, man.
He's out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross.